This is Swimming in Sweetwater, Deep Dive into Riverdale. My name is Caitlin.
I'm Mary. And this is Season 5, Episode 7, Chapter 83, Fire in the Sky.
The fire's in the sky. Right off the top, are there aliens?
I mean, good question. We do see an alien baby, fetus.
We see a skeleton that has been
Small.
preserved in maple syrup.
Look, I have a feeling that this is also going to be like some very weird, like low-key, like Blossom dead child of some sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is this Nana Rose's twin?
I don't know. I truly have no idea. The whole thing is just very, very interesting. So it sounds like we're starting off with Jughead's plot. Am I right?
Yeah.
Great. So he's still on his Mothman bullshit, which, I love a Mothman.
I know you love a Mothman.
Look, I don't love a Mothman when it's portrayed as an alien. I'm much more into Mothman when he's portrayed as a cryptid. It's just
okay,
more
Mary,
exciting.
do you want to explain to the room what that means?
So cryptid is like almost more like a monster, like your Bigfoot or the Chupacabra. Like it's not really a,
extraterrestrial.
Exactly. Some sort of being that is unexplained. Obviously, aliens are an extraterrestrial from another planet. And sure, cryptids could very well be aliens, but like cryptids aren't always aliens and aliens aren't always cryptids. You know what I mean?
No, but then couldn't this be a cryptid alien?
Yeah, I guess technically. I don't know. Like I would rather have Mothman be more of like an urban legend, sort of like Bigfoot situation, rather than like, oh, these are the Greys and they're coming to abduct you,
Right, but we don't know. That spotlight could have easily been a helicopter.
It could have been many, many things. And look, I love all things spooky. I love a good alien story. But what's interesting is, Jughead has an experience with these lights. We also talked to Pop, who had experiences with these lights, which then lead us to Nana Rose, which then lead us to an alien skeleton.
I have a lot of questions about what the body looks like before it was dipped in the maple syrup.
Also a very good question. I don't know the preservation abilities that maple syrup has.
I feel like none.
Very little. It's sugar.
I feel like if it was salt.
Yeah, I also was kind of hoping that when they cracked open this thing, it would also almost be more like amber, because amber is fossilized and hardened sap, which maple syrup is from sap. Do you know what I mean?
I forgot about amber. Yeah.
I thought this was going to be more of okay, you remember The Mummy when they dig up Imhotep and he's in kind of that hardened booger thing?
Yes.
That's what I was expecting. Brendan Fraser at his prime. That's kind of more of what I was expecting, not okay, we just dump it out. Also, that would smell so fucking rancid.
I can't even imagine how you could open that in a place of business, specifically food business.
Yeah, they definitely opened it in the kitchen.
Which is it's also on Nana Rose. Why didn't she send it to one of their houses?
Yeah, Jughead for once is living in a home. Also very curious where Tabitha lives.
I'm also, who is her parent who is Pop Tate's child?
Don't know. We don't know.
Because I doubt we're Tabitha even gonna know. Was living in Chicago as a high-powered something or other, making a bunch of money.
True.
Implying that her parents left Riverdale to raise her in a more affluent town. I'm very lost. I'm confused.
Or did she
love the flashback.
Or did she just
Or-
go to Chicago like post-college?
Right, but she seems that I don't know.
She seems
It does-
disconnected from Riverdale. I agree.
But it also feels like she knows more things about Riverdale than Jughead. Is that from Pop Tate talking to her more? Or did she really live in town?
Maybe it was kind of a situation of like she spent the summers with Pop.
Then why doesn't Jughead know who this bitch is?
I don't know. That is a good question. Or she's significantly older than him, which
Doesn't look like it.
But it doesn't seem like it. I mean, again, this is also a small town in which everybody knows everybody. But Jughead sees the lights, all the same things happen that Pop described and that we see in the flashback.
I loved the flashback. I loved the flashback so much. I want it to be longer. I wanted to have a whole flashback episode.
Of like grandparent age people, 100%.
Yes. No, they have been begging for this since season 2, and we first started learning about Banana Rose's shenanigans, which because they are playing fast and loose with how old this woman is. Because if you'll remember the Riverdale Reaper, when her and 13 men murdered a man alleging that he had murdered his family, when it turned out actually to be Hal's dad, that was like, that looked so old-timey. That was like black and white photo, very grainy, like 30s.
This flashback was clearly like, you know, late 60s to 70s.
Right. Her hair is like stand out in all hippie glory. And you're like, well, what was it? How old are these people?
And also clearly that was only what, you know, 60 years ago. I mean, I guess that's pretty long ago.
That's
but she was, I mean, dear God, how old is this woman?
Right. But if she's like 20s or 30s in 1960, whatever, then that totally lines up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just wild shit. I'm not really, again, like this whole alien Mothman thing is like right up my alley, but I'm also not sure if it's like really up my alley. You know what I mean?
I'm confused because every time we've been teased before, we were teased before that the cult had supernatural powers and caused the twins to levitate, turned out to be drugs. So like, I don't know how we're going to, they've planted the seed that it is a government testing site.
Right.
A government we've never heard of before, at war with a country we're not sure what about. So I don't know. I'm looking for escape hatches, and that's our only current escape hatch.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where this goes, but like, it's also a plot I really don't care about.
I am enjoying this one. I don't need him to kiss Tabitha. I have no juice. I can clearly see where we're going. I'm not going like, oh, stop. But I don't care.
Yeah. No,
I want more flashbacks. If the Jughead storyline continues and it's just constant flashbacks to other people's grandparents, I will 100% stay on board. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. But you know, not really. I don't know if you agree with me, but do you feel like Jughead has moved to like a B plot? A C plot even?
I can't believe I'm saying this. Jughead is fully fleshing out a D plot right now.
Wow.
I know. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Is it just because we don't care about him? Or is he just moving to these plots because he doesn't have a lot of interest in him?
Tony got promoted up to Jughead's spot.
Yeah, she really has. I'm like kind of happy for her.
I love it. Because I'm tired of this old four. I need new things. Tony's always been a treasure trove of information. We've just never utilized her before.
Well, and you know, I mean, you always know that I like literally gave 0 shits about Tony before, so.
I know. I was holding out and I was proof righteous.
And it happened. Speaking of Tony, since the whole like her and Cheryl plot is like so not important, shall we just knock that out? I
love that there was no singing in this episode. There was obviously dancing. Also, Charlatan found out her forgery is not good enough to fool a witch.
Yeah, true. And not only is there a dance off, but it's a dance off with Cheryl and a child. And I will
And
say
a child.
that child won.
Also, in what one, that child definitely won, because you can't have a dance off where the judge is just the children. Like, how is this a school? Also, do you need 2 people supervising these children? No.
Was Tony paying her?
I mean, Cheryl's paying everyone. She's bankrolling the school.
I mean, good point. So like,
I feel like Tony, I don't know why Tony's being a bitch about this. I don't know why Cheryl's being a bitch about this. I honestly can't.
I mean, again, they're just building up the tension to have them get back together, and I just don't want them to. And not that I want either of them to be miserable, you know, it's not like, but I just don't care. I really just don't. You know,
and Kevin are exactly what I need in a teen show that is no longer about teens, right? They're a couple. It's not about their minor squabbles. It's just like, we can use them individually. Kevin's got more screen time. We can use them together. They're joining the fire department.
right.
Like, I understand that making Tony more important to the plot doesn't mean we have to keep the cheerleadingness of it all.
Right. I don't know. I just have a feeling that like they're gonna force them back together, and I just like don't care. I don't.
This episode was very lacking in spice.
This felt like kind of a throwaway episode, especially since we know the key party is the next episode. So I think they just like
had we're ratcheting up. I'm fine with alternating between spice heavy and plot heavy, because we get a lot of plot furtherance.
Mm-hmm.
Right, especially with Betty and the Sweetlow Swamp, and we've got new victims coming in left, right, and center, and she's working on a big murder map with Kevin and her mom and Tony, and like, we are adults, and adults work in groups on committees. And I also, so they're at the swamp, they're like about to search it, and Hiram's like, you don't have the authority to do that. And she's like, I'm an FBI agent. And he's like, you got that badge at Party City. And it's like, yeah, because you're not an agent.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is, you know, while I don't know a ton about what it's like being a trainee, like what sort of actual authority does I'm dropping a bunch of shit. What kind of authority does she actually have? Because I did watch Silence of the Lambs recently, and I feel like Clarice like had was in technically the same role as Betty, and like
she had a very narrow.
Homegirl had a lot of authority,
but Clarice had a very narrow purview. She was sent to specifically talk to Hannibal Lecter, right? She wasn't tasked with investigating a whole lot. She had to constantly check in with her supervisor. Like,
true.
It was a much shorter leash.
Yeah, no, that is true. But so we're checking. Well, okay. To get into Swedlow Swamp, they find a body. Did they find the body in the end of the last episode?
Yes, and then we re-met Dr. Criddle Jr. and he's like, it's not Polly.
It's not.
And Betty's
Polly.
Like, could it be this other bitch? And he's like, no, because she doesn't have braces.
Right.
And Betty's like, oh shit.
We've gotta
search the swamp again.
3 is a pattern.
Yeah.
So originally they get kicked off the land by Hiram and Reggie and the goons, and then she goes out by herself, and then Reggie leads her to another body.
And then this one is Margaret, who did have
and then this one is Margaret Harper. But Alice does find Polly's phone out in the swamp. So we know, Polly's been out and about doing that thing.
Polly has come in contact with whoever has put those bodies in the ground / swamp, or herself has been there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's telling us.
And what did we find on the side of the road? Remember when we found Polly's stuff at the side of the road a couple episodes ago? What did we find? Her
wallet and I think a shoe.
Yeah, okay. But nothing else, that we've really truly seen from Polly.
We think there could be about 21 missing girls. We're not sure what's happening. I'm not ready for Riverdale to handle human trafficking. Grey's Anatomy is barely handling it. I don't trust Riverdale.
Yeah. I mean,
speaking of serial killers, the trash bag killer is officially back. He's killed 2 more women.
Can I change his name? Because I want to call him the trash man, and I'm only just thinking about that from like Always Sunny in Philadelphia with that episode with Frank, and he's like, I'm the trash man. I throw trash on the rain and then I eat a bunch of trash. I don't know why that like always comes to mind every time they talk about the trash bag killer. I have no idea what's wrong with me.
Trash man is back. He killed 2 women in Oklahoma. Betty is straight wiggin'.
Yeah, she's losing it. And I really need a little bit more, like I want a whole episode of like her ordeal with the trash man. And I think we're going to get it.
I'm hoping we will have a flashback episode at some point that will like see all of their like deep traumas of like shit they had to go through, right? And then they'll all end at Pops or something, right? Because Veronica was in that like car accident or helicopter whatever. Something inside her went wrong in addition to that, because she was like willing to let Chad be in charge. Archie was literally at war, and Jughead hasn't gone through anything traumatic, so maybe like Tony or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
eventually piece together.
Oh, and we did when she does reach out to Glenn, her BF back home, and he's like, yeah, no, we're not helping.
We can't send anyone for runaways. And you're like, okay, but you guys are the FBI and you know that high risk victims are high risk because murderers murder them.
Right. And all of these 21 missing girls are like from kind of the general area and like any, different counties that are touching the Lonely Highway. So like, theoretically we could get because isn't Sheriff Keller covering the county?
I think technically doesn't exist.
Well, good point. No, Riverdale did get unincorporated.
Yeah, I think he is handling a larger section. But in reality, if it gets unincorporated, he's now part of the county sheriff department. So he wouldn't be one sheriff for the whole county because the state would allocate that resource.
Well, and that's what I'm also thinking is like, okay, yeah, if Riverdale is like a shithole town, like fine, but there's, all these other cities around that we know of, like he would definitely have, the assistance, but whatever, doesn't matter. There's a bunch of missing girls and we're finding bodies.
We get our most interesting piece of information.
Tell me.
Which is that Hiram has a long-term plan for the turnpike that has nothing to do with Sodale.
Mm-hmm.
I will be so mad if the answer is I swear to God, sir, please excuse me. I will be so mad if the answer is just I can't work like this.
I even put in my like headset from work because it's slightly better sound wise, and
I'm just teasing. If the answer is another prison, like, because last time he was like, I'm doing squirrely shit, and then it turned out to just be like, and we're building a prison, and like
You need this dog to stop barking? Yeah, me too.
I do, but I need the answer to both be the answer either needs to truly be real estate, and I'm glad it's not actually real estate because it made no sense. Is it set for something?
Oh, no, he's just barking at the cats, of course.
Okay. That he
It's just my
with.
life. We've also spiraled back into dog does not know how to do anything, even though thus he was trained, and now is like back to like pooping and shitting on the floor. So terrible twos, here we come. Yay. But it's interesting that, you know, obviously like Hiram owns this land, this, that, and the other, the highway. It's interesting that Reggie's like, yo, you should just let them do what they need to do. Are we going to get a redemption of Reggie somehow? Do we think Hiram's involved in any of these missing dead girls?
No.
Missing / dead girls. I don't think so either.
I don't think he is, because he wasn't concerned about them searching the swamp in case they found anything.
It seems like he was only really concerned because of his timelines.
Yes.
Which, fair. Speaking of Hiram, Veronica confronts Hiram because he set fire to Archie's house. He's like, no, I didn't. Like, why are we even still talking to him as a child? Like,
I don't know.
You know, it's her same fucking tactic of, you know, present the evidence, expect results. I'm over it. Like, just fucking stop talking to him at all. She's never gotten anything good from it. So like walk away.
Yeah, like the fire goes on, and she's like, I'm not talking to daddy. And like, why? Like, we know who did it.
Did you actually think he was gonna be like, oh yeah, it was me?
We couldn't even arrest the football players for starting a fire at the school. We're not touching your dad. Stop acting like talking to your dad does anything. You don't have to talk to Hiram. Hiram is fully in the plot. He never has to speak to Veronica.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like the writers constantly needing to remind us of like their dynamic, but like we've been doing this for 5 fucking seasons. Like I don't need it. So Veronica decides that she is going to print some money with her face on it to help revive the economy. So she's printing money, forcing her students to work for her and like start up this jewelry store. But she talks about like how a city in Oregon did this. Is this true?
It's called North Bend. Yeah. It was in the 30s.
And did it work?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was illegal at the time.
I mean, fair. So she's investing like $50,000 into this project so the students can use the money to, you know, spend it at the Bijou or at Pops. But she thinks Hiram is like flooding the market with counterfeit dollars. Turns out it's her fucking students. And now the students have to pay off the $10,000 that they introduced into the market. So not only were you forcing them to work for you for fake money before, but now you're forcing them to clean up the town for no money at all.
Yeah, also
there's a lot of child labor in this episode.
A couple of things. One, this is not how a business works. Like, I understand. So the problem is, well, one, the town doesn't exist. So in reality, this should be coming from City Hall. City Hall doesn't exist. There's no town. I don't think we should be using teenagers to spread money around, because teenagers go to like 2 locations.
Also, like, do you think that these teens could like use this money to like buy their jingle jangle from their dealer?
I don't know. It sort of depends on whether or not the jingle jangle dealers would accept cash. I guess maybe the teenagers were the best people for this thought experiment, but I think it would have been better to talk to more businesses than just Pops and the Bijou.
Right.
Also, I'm really confused on how the teenagers, so she invests $50,000, which this small town did not do that. It was a lot less money. They printed $2,000, which in the 30s was a lot of money.
I was going to say $2,000. Yeah, that is probably
was a lot of money, but it was also, you know, like manageable amounts.
Right.
Like you can keep track of it all.
Right.
Then, but we see her printing the money with her face on it. But then the children have the ability to make 1,000, 10,000 more dollars, which crashes the economy because they didn't actually, because it's like, well, Veronica, then you weren't really doing your job in teaching them about economics.
Yeah, Jesus, even I understand inflation, and while I passed AP economics, I barely squeaked by passing the AP exam.
I'm also a little confused on what physically cleaning up Sketch Alley does. Like, there's a huge, like, unhoused population that lives in that area. Like, you're not cleaning up garbage, you're cleaning up their personal effects.
Yeah. And also, now I can't remember where cleaning up the alley and the fire at the pool hall happens, but also, like, wasn't there just like an active fire like a day ago? Like,
so it goes pool hall, then the alley. So the pool hall was before, when Archie was using unpaid child labor to fund his fire department that he obviously has a family connection to.
What do you know? Isn't it amazing when all of a sudden you need a family member in the show to like be involved? It just like miraculously happens. Like, we've talked about Grandpa Artie like 600 fucking times, and now
and he's never been a firefighter. He has never been a firefighter. Speaking of things people weren't, Kevin mentions that his dad was in the military without mentioning that his mother was in active serving duty for most of his high school.
Still gone?
No, she like came back and they got divorced and he left, and then his dad married Josie's mom. But the real question is where is Mrs. McCoy?
Yeah, I like literally just remembered that. And we've seen a lot of Sheriff Keller this season, which I'm not complaining about. But like, where is his wife?
Where's Sierra? Where is she?
Where's Josie?
Well, Josie doesn't live in town anymore.
I know, but also I guess we probably should have watched Katie Keene and then we'd know.
For the love of God, it is hilarious how much these people were relying on Katie Keene getting renewed.
I was gonna say Katie Keene should fucking move to Riverdale because she has all the connections. She's got the fireman guy. She's got the boxer guy. She's living it up. Katie Keene alone might be able to save Riverdale.
Maybe Katie Keene is the alien.
Oh, what a plot twist.
What if Katie Keene is the Mothman? What if she is the Mothman?
Katie Keene is the Mothman.
Oh my God, what if Katie Keene is one of the Swamp people? What if she cracks this whole case right open?
What if Katie Keene is the trash man?
Okay, if Katie Keene is the trash man, I will take back anything negative I have ever said about this show.
I second that. God, what a twist.
What's going on? So Archie was doing so well. I was so on board with Archie.
I know.
This week
literally wasn't last episode. We were like, man, we love Archie. No, didn't last long.
I don't like how comfortable he is with using. I don't like how comfortable everyone's feeling with the children. Everyone knows that when you are 25, if you see, hear, or smell a 15-year-old, you start throwing up. Like, you can't physically handle it.
Look, here's the thing. We've watched the Core 4 and Friends grow up in a very stressful, tumultuous time. We were watching children grow up with adult problems. And now we are slowly pulling these new children into adult problems, such as fucking being a firefighter.
Right? Like, it was one thing when it was our 15-year-old solving murders and the adults were like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Now we have adults being like, no, you should come help me solve this murder. You should
totally do this.
Also, have we figured out how you pay for things as a volunteer fire department?
I have no idea. Well, as we see, Veronica rolls up in a new fire truck that also is from like the 1950s. Like, okay,
How do
that's
we
gonna
have
work
time
out
for the
well.
second job, Archie? You're already teaching at the high school.
How does any of these people? Because fucking Bangs and Kevin both sign up, and like we know that Kevin
Bangs
is teaching
a
like
long-haul truck driver.
And what's his name? Kevin is teaching like 15 fucking classes.
Yeah, it's like what if a fire happens while you're at school?
Like, I'm sorry, but like literally, I also have a full-time job. You also have a full-time job. We can barely keep up this podcast, which we record for 45 minutes at the most once a week. Okay, well, fires aren't planned. As I have experienced.
Migraines.
It's true. Oh God, it was so bad last week. I can't even. Like, as somebody who has experienced a fire, you don't plan them. These children are literally in school. What are we just gonna be like? Have the fire alarm in the fucking school, and they're all gonna dip out of class at any point?
So Weatherby nixes the children's fire brigade after they rushed into a burning building, and
Archie played hero and rushed into a burning building.
Archie learned one rule about firefighting, which is do not go in alone. And then he went in alone, and it didn't even work. Earl still died. Earl was an unhoused person and a veteran. Oh my God, I forgot about Jackson.
Okay, so Jackson, he's the guy from that first episode, lost his leg, broski with Archie. So he rolls up, he was waiting on a placement with a VA thing, right?
Yes, it was like special PTSD housing, transitional housing.
Yeah, but he's waiting to hear back. He rolls up with Archie, he helps out with the fire department. Which also, and like, not that I know much about like losing a limb, but like, wouldn't he be in like a ton of physical therapy post losing his leg?
Right. We met him right after his leg got removed, which was 2 months ago.
Yeah, like homeboy is, I mean, maybe he already did it, but great. He's doing great.
He's waiting for PTSD housing that opens up next week. Archie's like, oh, do you really need that? And he's like, yeah, I do. And then at the end, he's like, well, I want to kill Hiram. And Archie's like, been there, felt that. I need you here to like be my friend. You can be in charge of the fire brigade that is, again, for free, makes no money.
And it's just...
I feel like we're just rehashing Monroe.
Whatever happened to him?
It's like,
what the fuck happened to Mad Dog?
I'm very confused about, I'm so lost about Archie and Jughead's relationship because we keep inventing new men for Archie to be close with. And we keep just like siloing Jughead as far away as possible from anyone who has a plot. Like Veronica and Jughead have never had a one-on-one conversation.
Excluding the time they made out in the hot tub over.
That wasn't one-on-one. That was a group.
No, you're right.
Hey.
You are. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, Jesus Christ. Even Jughead's father, FP, RIP, love you. Shot Veronica's dad, and they still didn't have a plot together.
Well, and Hiram at one point wanted to kill Jughead. Lol, do you even remember season 2?
Wait, why did he want to kill Jughead?
Because Jughead was investigating the prison he was going to be putting up and was starting a hunger strike. And Hiram was funneling money into the ghoulies to try and upset the serpent power structure.
True. I forgot about that. I mean, how did we get here? And like Jackson, I think this was like a whole like thing to like, allow Archie to have, a touching speech.
Yeah,
and
also
I don't
mind those speeches.
No, totally. And like, I'm sure it has military and hard things and mental health and, yada, yada, yada. But also, like, I'm sorry, Jackson, you've been here for 5 fucking minutes, and like Archie still hasn't managed to kill Hiram. Like, what do you
No,
think?
that's not what's upsetting. Jackson has been there for 5 minutes and he is already looped into I must kill this man level antics. Like, he is back from horror. He needs to be in therapy. Also, I can't believe Archie is trying to do this speech about like, yeah, like the military like really messes you up. And Archie has never addressed his own bullshit. He is not working the program. He immediately scoffed that his like platoon mate would have PTSD, right? Like, Archie is not the pillar of mental stability.
No, I mean, did we forget about all of the post Fred stuff? We beat up our uncle. We started a fucking vigilante child gang to fight crime post Black Hood. I mean,
know. What if Archie had joined the fire department back then? Would it have solved everything?
Maybe.
Honestly, would have been a better show if we had firefighters this whole time than Boxford.
Yeah, that would have like. Did you ever watch that Ryan Murphy show 911 with Angela Bassett?
No, but I've seen episodes.
Oh my god, it's phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. Didn't love it enough to continue watching it, but really loved the whole firefighter thing.
I don't know where the show is going. This was a very plot heavy episode, why all of our comments are just about Archie. All in all, I can't believe I'm saying this. I am enjoying season 5 more than I thought I would.
Keep in mind, we're also truly only 4 episodes into season 5, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, when is our normal? I mean, it doesn't start picking up until about 7, and then the downfall happens
at 10 or 13. 10.
So, I mean, we're coming up. The thing is, I also just like don't really have any thoughts or theories other than Katie Keene is the Mothman and the Trash Man.
Well, the problem is like at this point in this season, we're still at expanding, especially because of the jump forward. Like, we're getting a lot of new characters. This isn't about closing loops, so anything could be anybody.
Yeah,
I do like that we have corrected the season 2 problem, which is just showing us that the answer is a white guy with blue eyes or green eyes or whatever. And instead,
do you think we're gonna get a resurfacing of Charles? Speaking of white men,
not. No. What I like about the season right now is that the answer could be anyone of any shape, color, gender, etc.
True.
Any age.
Yeah.
And I like that Jughead is an unreliable narrator who's just like also kind of a lazy drunk.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's going to be some sort of like intervention of Jughead, and like that's how we're going to get him reconnected with the core 4, because I don't see Archie and Betty continuing. As much as I am so fucking into it, there's no way they're going to keep them together.
I think they are. I don't know how we're going to maintain a core 4. We really only got Veronica occasionally interacting as a way to pay for things with Archie. Like, no one else seems to have any sort of interaction.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we haven't even had like a girls' day with Betty at this point.
You know what we also don't have?
New people to rate, review, and subscribe.
We're also on Instagram at Swimming in Sweetwater.
You can email us at swimminginsweetwater@gmail.com.
We have a Twitter, but I don't really tweet from there, so we enjoyed.
Go scroll through some old tweets
at Swim Sweetwater. Yeah. And we will catch you next week.
Bye.